You're welcome to the Naija Filmmaker, a podcast about Nigerian filmmakers, their films, and how we can build a diverse and functional industry. I'm your host, Selegot. On this episode, my guest is Motunrayo Ojo. She works with health information systems by day and is a film enthusiast by night. We talk about creatives dealing with criticism, films as society's moral compass, and the role of government in the industry's growth. If you're a new listener, you're welcome and I hope you enjoy. Can you mention 3 random facts about yourself?
Okay, so this is very hard. When people ask me for 3 facts, I don't even have random facts. My number 1 random fact is I remember things easily. Maybe that's a random fact. I'm serious. I have my earliest memory was from my first birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, people say wow so all the time. Yeah, I remember things from my very first birthday. I remember the smell of the cake, the clothes, everybody came on my birthday and what our compound looks like right then. Another fact about me is that this is very hard. When people say random facts, what do you expect you to say?
Just more information about you.
More information about me. I don't know anything about myself. I think this is where I'm stuck.
What other art forms do you like?
Apart from books, music.
Opera?
No, music actually. Oh, yeah, so here is that I enjoy every single genre of music. So I should tell you another thing about me. The way I consume films, the way I consume books.
Okay.
And music, really. If we're talking about music, I'll say it with the same enthusiasm. With a lot of information. And the third fact about me is that I have attention deficits. I have ADD. And so that's probably also the reason why I say a lot of things ramble and have a lot of useless information.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I do know a lot of useless information. I don't know how.
You talk about people on the timeline calling you haters. Like,
not a lot of people.
Filmmakers make films. Sometimes they have to fight different forces to get it out there. And then, they get hurt that people don't always appreciate what they have made. What do you think is the way forward? Like the relationship between filmmakers and critics in the Nollywood space?
So, I don't want to use the word critics. I said the relationship between them and feedback. I'll use feedback because, 1, I've learned that creatives are very pretty when it comes to their own work.
Yeah.
And at first I would have said, is it just creatives? But I think it's creatives across all spheres. You have artists, poets. I review books. That's the only form of review I've ever done. If I started just calling in and talking on Nollywood. And I do not enjoy poetry. I've always thought it's pretentious. I would read EA comics because it's the only form of poetry. I mean, call me whatever, that I could digest and understand. And then I liked Polato Boss's Travel or something. I like that. Again, I can count all of the poetry that I've enjoyed on my hand.
Yeah.
And I think one time we reviewed some guys' poetry. So it was the worst of times, best of times, because I didn't even know what I was saying. I mean, they do believe there's some form of higher work of art.
A different plane of existence.
Yes, they believe it. And I felt like this guy was doing how many big words do I know that rhyme that I could put after one another? They made no sense to me. And I put it like that in there. If at some point on our blog, my friend and I, we started saying, disclaimer, we really do not enjoy poetry, but if you ask us to review it, we will.
Yeah.
But we don't. We really should actually go back to what we used to do. But we used to say that. But that was the moment I realized that creatives at all forms apparently. Then we reviewed it and didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it was a mess. Oh my god, people kept coming and commenting, this is the best thing I've read. I'm like, okay, your opinion, you're open to it.
Yeah.
You're allowed to enjoy it. I'm not really critical, I just didn't enjoy it. And it's not just that. You don't have to have that with fashion designers. I keep thinking about this guy's story. One of this popular, I think it was Turkey or Lebanon, I can't remember. But anyways, he was not usually in Hollywood, and then he very wore his dress for that time which he won, and everybody talked about that dress. And after that, he was already popular with Arab,
Yeah.
And Hollywood was so snobbish. And they kept talking about how the series are not right. They did it for over a decade. But he's like one of the biggest guys now.
Yeah.
And everybody has learned to love him. Two things. He could have gone home and cried though. And never done this again. Because honestly, I keep reading some of the horrible things they said, but if I was the one, I'm back in our house. I'm not doing that again. I don't have to, subject myself to that. But then this is it about taking feedback. When people say this thing is terrible, you have to listen. I mean, it's easier when you're like, some people liked it. Don't deceive yourself. Maybe some people will like it. Not everybody will like it. Do you get? But how does it reflect in your work? Do you take this piece of information and put it into the next movie that you're going to make? Or are you guys going to lash out at the world? Or are you going to just leak your own? Like, they hurt my feelings. Even at work, it's not easy. I got one performance appraiser in 2020, although I was pregnant, but I cried. It was funny, but I cried on that work, on that call. I remember crying, and my boss here goes, do you want to do this some other time? We could do this on Monday, and I'm so sorry to hurt you. We could just talk about this when I come. I'm very sorry that you feel like, I'm like, no, it's pregnancy hormones. It wasn't really pregnancy hormones. I cried because it really hurt. That was the worst that I've gotten. And even my
was it something you were suspecting, or it just came out of the blue?
It came out of the blue. And I'd already discussed that with my manager before. But I thought we worked it out because there was like some bits of cross wires there. But as much as it was, part of it was me, but a huge chunk of it was that. But I really loved my office for one thing because they would ask you that, what do you think you can do? How do you think we can help you get better? And I go, because 2020 was lockdown, I didn't work on a lot of projects. And here is the thing, when you work on just 1.5 clients, if you did one thing wrong, that's the only thing you will hold on to. Trick is if you work on like 10 other projects and you 5, 6 is fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 may not really, outshine those excellent ones that you did. So I told him that we'll put him in more projects. We're like, I don't think that project is the problem. I think some of these cracks will like, please, I'm not asking for a lot. But they put me on 60 days probation. That wasn't even the worst of it. I was told that you have 60 days, but you're out to continue off. So that was it for me. Yeah. I needed to prove myself. Yeah. 60 days new projects, they just give me projects, as a lot of multi-million dollars. I'm like, okay, here is it. We're working from home. I had a workstation at work, plunk a pillow behind my back. I clocked in 160 hours every month till I went on leave in May. Not 1 hour wasted. Maybe sometimes 150 hours, 159 hours in a month. I was clocking in. I was working like a machine. Yeah. I needed to prove something because I also know that I'm going on leave. That year, I had 11% increment in my salary and a promotion in 2021. Yeah. So here is the thing. I don't think anybody likes to be told that nobody would like to do your sheets. 2 weeks ago, I was on a call. I did one thing fantastic on Power BI, visuals. I told my person that I was working on, so I think we should change it. And I go, the data sheets. If we go the way you want us, they are going to know. So we just need to add this caveat that this data is shit. And then the Americans, immediately we finished. Like nice visuals, but the data is shit. I'm like, okay, I see that coming. But in that place, at least they told me nice visuals. Luckily, the data is not my problem. I didn't input it, it was on their side.
Yeah.
But they don't want it represented in data visualization, because when people view it, visualization can show you your lapses.
Yeah.
So they are seeing those lapses and they know it's terrible. Nobody else must see it. And that's why they don't want it. So it's not on me, it's not my work. So nobody's saying, more your work is shit. They're saying the data that they are putting in there is shit. So that is the way I feel like creatives can live. But because most creatives are prickly, I really don't know. You have to learn it again, because they're not working in. If you've not worked in an organization where there's a top to bottom, somebody giving you feedback, some feedback you cry. I can't work for a Nigerian company, and I say it all the time because I tried it earlier in the year. It did not work out well for us. I worked out of our office and I thought, you know what? Yeah, it's been nice doing business with you, because I feel like there's ego in the room. You can't be the smartest person when you have somebody who has giant ego, right? But when you've not worked with other people before, you think you're the best in sliced bread. And then you go into, you put that product together.
Yeah.
You don't owe us and we don't owe you. I'm patronizing you. I have opinions to my opinion. I have a right to my opinion. I like that if I spend 6,000 at the cinemas, I will sit down and dissect that movie, top to bottom, and you cannot arrest me because you have finished that product. You put it out there, and I'm going to have a say. And if I have a say, there's really nothing you can do. It's on you to take it back. So sometimes I look at it in all this FMCG, right? You're selling soup for bathing, or for you are selling facial wash soap, and people say they are breaking out. Are you going to go your room and throw a tantrum? Like, well, I put in my sweat, I put in everything, use it, but I'm breaking out. You're going to get out of the market quickly before you know what's going on, right? So it is how you decide to take feedback. If you work in an organization where you get constant feedback, I don't know how people who do African Magic do. Yeah. I mean, a couple of times I've actually a couple of them interact with my tweets, like, yeah, we made this mistake, sorry, or, you know, we didn't do it that way, whatever. But I also see that they are the sort of people who take feedback as it comes. Also, I don't know, again, it might be it, it might not be it, but earlier in the year I started watching AM Covenants. And one thing I noticed was that the set design was shit. Like a lot of all those we are rich, but the house was opening sparse. And I think I mentioned it on the timeline. Fast forward to me watching it, maybe a month in, 2 months in, things have changed. Those empty looking houses were looking, fuller. Yeah. It may not be. Maybe somebody else who came on their set and said, Abba, man, what are you guys doing? Why does this set not look like a proper set, right? So maybe those people can take feedback in real time. Like as they are saying it, the audience is saying something, they are getting real time feedback. Yeah. They can put it into their work and make it better. But if you're making a feature, you put it there. If people like it, they don't like it. So it's for you to go take it, go and put it. I don't know how they can get better. They just have to learn to live with it. Sell again. Everybody is doing it at their work, you're going to have to learn. You're not special, no offense. Everybody's special to their mommy and their daddies. But outside of that, there's really nothing special about all of us. Yeah. Like, you're not the first to make a movie. And you probably won't be the last. So you just need to learn how to take feedback. Again, I don't think anybody wants to take it. Even me, I'm sure I'll start crying if somebody gives me feedback like that, right? But then you need to understand that they don't owe you anything. Maybe they will be nice at giving you one-on-one. Yeah. Personally, if I have friends who make films or write, I can give feedback. So I can give feedback in private. Like, okay, this is what I think about your film, but I want to give you feedback. Say, thank you. Yeah, like, oh, are you sure? Yeah, this is how I feel. That's not the also you've put out. It's easier. I can't be sending you a message, this is what I think about. If you don't like it, I don't know you now, I don't know you. So I think personally, filmmakers learn to grow thick skin. Yeah. And not just take feedback. Maybe not all feedback are useful, but maybe change some things. Like when I fly and the very good beard, I think he started making better beard now. Yeah.
Okay. It's like the way several films, like have lapses. Do you think is a film education problem? For example, you have a bit of film history. You know that from the beginning of cinema, things have changed in a certain direction, and then we're now in 2023, and stories are being told in a particular way. Do you think people are trying to reinvent the wheel every time, or do you think it's just a general film problem, like a film education problem, where they didn't actually learn? I mean,
telling films, right?
Yeah, because you learn film the right way, right? And
yes.
Then
you can put in your own touch. Yeah, so that's the thing. So I think on the call last week, I remember saying that I don't mind people genre bending. You can do, again, I don't think there is any rule that is set in stone. But when you're telling story, things must make sense. You must probably set up a situation. So let me give you an example. Hey You, I really detested that film. Hey You visually looks good. It's dark because I also think the lighting should work if it was erotic, which it wasn't to me. I didn't know what was happening there. I think they were going to go for eroticism, but it didn't translate. But the story was shit, personally for me, because let's talk about setting up things. They introduced a fiancé that we didn't see at the 1 hour mark. I think Nigerian writers, maybe they've worked on telenovelas. They're trying to tell telenovela kind of stories in the future. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You cannot introduce a new character as you deal with it. It works in telenovela or in a soap or a lifetime, like primetime TV.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can keep introducing things. You can't do it for a feature. You cannot bring somebody in 1 hour who has not been established by picture, by sound. You didn't even flash that person. And you wrote it in. Look, if you're going to put it in such a way where this character is hidden, our protagonist does not want people, or maybe she's falling in love, but she doesn't want her new person to know about this person exists. Yeah. You set it up still. Even if you want it to be an audience review, you set it up. There's no review that has not been set up to when the review was going to happen. Like, you need to set it up. So, even if it is a call from home and maybe someone said, you're like awkward, like your husband, and you cut the call, the audience is going to be intrigued. What just happened there? And if you're not introducing this person 1 hour, I'm like, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
Or if she had this call coming a couple of times and she's cutting, and we don't know who's calling, but we see the name. And then when she walks in when he walks in the 1 hour mark, and she calls that name, so this is the guy she's been cutting the call on. You need to set things up. You can even put in background of her phone, she changes it to the new guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's that old guy? You don't know who that is. You put it on her table, she has a picture stand of him. New guy is visiting her house. It's like sitting under her bed. We don't know who that is. The audience doesn't know who that is.
Yeah.
But we're intrigued. Our interest has been piqued.
Yeah.
So when it comes up in 1 hour mark, you are not lost. Why do we think we know? No offense to people writing stories. I can't write. I tell people all the time. People are like, I think she's dabbling in writing. I don't have the patience. I have ADHD. I probably will lose that work. And I'm serious. Yeah. My interest jumps from things to things. Tomorrow I might say that is only wildlife documentary I want to start watching.
Yeah.
And I'll watch that for 1 day and I'll have a lot of information on it. But I don't want to write. But I can see that you've done nonsense. I have a big beef with brotherhood. You have twins that have animosity, and we don't know why. And people just keep talking about somebody. And it irritates me. It's annoying. People who are not used to it probably don't know that something is wrong. I think it's nonsense. Started the movie with their dad getting shot, parents getting shot. What am I supposed to do about that? When you can start that movie with 3 street urchins running around, the twins, and Osikeji's character. Because at the end of the day, the biggest beef was between Osikeji's character and Toby's character. And that's how they ended the film. But that was not set up at all. That brotherhood is not between the twins. It's between Osikeji and Toby's character. At the end of the day. So if I was in the room when we were doing that, the movie starts with three street urchins running around picking pockets. And then police cuts Faust's character and said, hey, who are the people that stole this thing? And him being away points to his brother and that guy. And that was probably the first time they went to jail. And then the film starts. Or like, you don't need to explain to anybody.
Yeah.
In the rest of that movie, you don't owe anyone more stories. Like, so even if exposition is being used to clarify things, no one is lost. Right? No one is lost. Because visually, I know why this animosity is there. They can't keep saying Olopa Adarango, which is basically police criminal. Give me something. So, but the thing that Brotherhood does well, it has fan service. So it uses a lot of that to, in fact, myself, I almost stood up at that last 15 minutes, even though that Deadland bridge was too long. I was just excited. I didn't even know I was excited.
Yeah.
I was just excited. And then when he cut the gun shot, I was like, yay. And when I started my car and I was like, the fuck did I just watch? I thought about Brotherhood for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just randomly wake up and I'll be like, that was wrong. Why did they never set that up? Right? Like, so many things. Look at it. He shot his twin brother's father-in-law. And with it. It's not even going to be done in American films because films are our moral compass. Like, films have a responsibility. Unless this person is you want people to, I want to say, unless this person is an anti-hero, which he's not. He wasn't fighting bad guys at any point.
Yeah.
He was actually the bad guy. Why are we rooting for a thief? You have to give me a reason. And every single time we've rooted for a thief, even in... So apart from all those heist things, you see me, they're not killing anybody. They're just stealing something from somewhere, some are caught, some are, and they run. I'm like, yeah, and you know. Money heist was about people who were in poverty and poor, whatever they came together, trying to steal somebody. There's always motivation. You cannot justify these kind of things. Original Rattlesnake, he died, he faked his own death, but there has to be a death, even though our protagonist got a benefit. Oh, Blue was a thief, but we saw the entire motivation, which is this guy, I keep forgetting his name. But the point is, at the end of the day, he was caught, and even in this film, the thief was the good guy. He doesn't need to kill anybody. He was philanthropy. Please give the money out to everybody. But he was caught when they caught him, when he knew was going to die, he killed himself. Again, we're not supposed to suicide, but it's in Heat. Heat, they were going to get away with it until that last job. And even our Al Pacino died. Set It Off has one of the killer motivations, right? We saw when a brother that was supposed to go to school, when we saw what the system was doing to these women, and they came together to steal. But the film didn't spare them. The only person that got spared was the person whose brother already died. So it gave us a little bit of consolation, like at least she got away with it, but the system took her brother. And even the Olopa could see her go, and he had to let her go. Do you get? So that is our own fan service. Why did I get away with it in Brotherhood? Why did you get away with it? It's not a gangster movie. In a gangster movie, it was gangs against gangs. It's going to be one gang who is supposed to be the good guy going against the bad guys. At the end of the day, it's a form of moral compass. But in this film, he kills people. Of course, he killed the other guy who betrayed them. But he also killed his brother's father. And nothing happened to him. Who was the foolish chief? Some of these questions should have been on the storyboard, in the storytelling room. Somebody should have been in there asking all this, like, guys, what were you thinking? Do you think we should be doing it? Somebody had come to me with a couple of stories like, oh, we want to do this. And I go, oh, we're going to let this character, it's not going to be a Muslim. I'm like, in 2023, the character was going to end up being a bad guy. Why is he converting to Islam first? Again, sometimes we don't even know the messaging when we're writing. Because in our head it sounds da 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 da. But then how is the audience going to take that information that you just released?
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do with it? So I think that writers, filmmakers, whatever, do more, I don't know, workshopping their stories. Workshopping stories. Like doing workshop. But I don't know if I'm reinventing the wheels. And I don't want to say there is a standard to writing. Writing is anything you make of it.
Yeah.
You can decide to tell any story, however. But I doubt a lot of our writers know what the theme they're even trying to address. Again, I don't think we've done any elevated art form enough for people to, oh, I thought about it. We're just doing entertainment for entertainment's sake. So, but I feel, and nobody's asking you to sit down and do so much. You see, this Barbie movie that I'm spending a lot of money on, I've seen the trailer and I think I know exactly what it's going to end up being. It's going to address a lot of socio-economic problems, the way we live and our perception as humans.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with the Truman Show. Way before reality TV was a thing, there was a Truman Show. When I first watched it, I didn't know reality TV until I started watching the first people of Africa. But before then, this guy was in a place, they put him, we didn't know that everything he thought was real wasn't real because they put his life together, made it a reality TV show that the rest of the world was watching. And when I watched it, I probably didn't know what I was watching, but if I watch it now, it speaks to so many things. It's thematically layered.
Yeah.
Like how we are being controlled, how we are obsessed with other people's life. People are doing it now, everybody puts their life on Instagram, everybody's a mini content creator, everybody has some form of Kardashian thing going on, right? And we don't know that that's what we're doing. It speaks about capitalism. Same thing that what was that, the Korean one that came out so it's in the lockdown? Something game, what's it called?
Squid Game.
Squid Game. Yeah, Squid Game. When it came out, right? Squid Game was speaking a lot, like it's entertaining, but it was talking a lot about. It was afterward I realized that Korea has a money lending problem, just like the way we have all those air credit thing.
Yeah.
Korea has a ridiculous. People are owing tons and tons of amount to these shark guys, right? And then you have people preying on people like this. You have governments preying on them. People who are big bucks preying on them for entertainment.
Yeah.
It's similar to real life. He had that guy who went to University of Korea. Nobody could go to University of Korea. That guy from his little town. But that guy was vicious. He knew what he wanted. He was going to do. He didn't care if he was killing anybody because he was owing it on. So everybody had their own story and they were justified.
Yeah.
And you have that stupid old man who everybody liked. But he's also he's one of the owners, but he wants to feel like it. So you have people who are cosplaying poverty. We see them all the time on our timeline. Like, names, but we have people like, oh yeah, me too, it's so sad, it's so guy, one of the guys. Do you get? So we have all of these characters in real life, right? And because somebody has put that together and written something entertaining, all of us are consuming and we are laughing about it. Still discussing poverty, capitalism, but someone has put it into art form. So, and that's the thing about art. You see people sitting around discussing the things. Oh, how does he address that? How does he do this? How does he, expanding on things? Again, not all art has to do that. But to a certain extent, people are putting it in their working. So I don't think we are reinventing the wheel. I think we just have a bunch of people who don't know how to tell stories. Try to tell a story. The idea is great, the premise is great, but we are doing it badly. I don't know why First Domitila will be miles and miles more progressive than Domitila 2 that came out. way progressive.
Yeah.
You watch it 1996 for God's sakes. This movie is close to 20 years. In its 17 years, and it's, how many years now?
20 something.
20 something years, right? And it's more progressive than the, in quotes, nonsense that was in the cinemas. So that, I don't know, what are we doing wrong? At the heart of it is writing. At the heart of it is writing.
Yeah.
We have elevated cameras now. Everybody can work camera. I mean, look at Ant Hill. You want a good set production, call Ant Hill into the room. You want, oh my God, put it. I don't know if it was Ant Hill or England that made Superstar. Whoever did the production design for Superstar should deserves a raise. I thought even the filter used, they had this tinsel town filter going on.
Yeah.
We make you believe that this is a story about somebody who had big dreams, wanted to be a star. But that film is shit. It was trying to be so many things at once. I mean, it's trying to, for it, there's an Indian film that follows that same template. But it was easier watching than in Nigerian because this one is like watching a carousel. It's like a PowerPoint presentation. So, how many things were happening?
Yeah.
It was like watching a bloodiest telenovela. What are you doing? And then compare it with A Star Is Born. I've watched every single version of A Star Is Born. I think they are 5. I like watching repeats of films because I like to compare each director's direction and the writing. And A Star Is Born, the one that Barbara Streisand did, was at the cusp of women empowerment, liberty. I think it was, I don't know which year, was it the 70s? But you could see Barbara Streisand's input in everything. It was very much women empowerment, education, whatever that was going there. You know, she wasn't going to be under anybody. But you know why this guy's one was really good? What's his face that did with Lady Gaga? He spent so much time developing the story because that's to resonate with the 2020s.
Yeah.
And he also wanted to do something that would make people really sad. Every story has followed the same pattern. Somebody dies, the guy died, as different formats of how the person, how they die is nobody's business, right? But somebody has always died. Just like how in Superstar somebody. That Superstar was funny, just had cancer overnight. See, at that point I was like, nah, somebody call me the cops, man. Yeah. I want to report a crime. It was a crime. So, but when you compare, it's the fluidity with which the story happened. The story was fluid, right? It wasn't 10,000 things happening at once. Was this done on his block musician?
Yeah.
And we had this girl who was trying to make money. When he heard that voice, he has the potential. He was trying to, I'll be a manager, whatever. Romance happened. We saw the journey. And whereas he now, she's writing for him, he got back to the stage. The things the devil was dealing, the demon he was battling before he met her came back. He was always drunk, he had this life, and then she became good, and she was so good, and he felt, and his own insecurity kicked in. He liked her so much, but at the same time, it was bad for her. At the end of the day, he took his own life. Horrible story, but whatever. The point is, we didn't like the way he ended, but you see the journey.
Yeah.
That's it. I've not watched that Is That Even Sector, I've not watched it. And I each other one, and funny enough, I've watched each other one. And I wasn't as sad as this version.
Yeah.
It killed me. I was like, what? But you can imagine how he had sat down. How he's going to make this thing way better than what every other person has been doing. If you're doing it, it starts once in like the 40s or the 50s.
Yeah.
But he knew what he was going to do differently. And he spent like, I think years, like 3 or 4 years, I can't remember now. And just rewriting, changing songs. They wrote that song from scratch. Because each song, every single song in there, they wrote the song, they practiced. These are people putting in effort. I know people say they money, but they had money. But they had story. Yeah. Right? They had money, yeah, but they had story. Because personally, I thought Superstar visual was great. Nice. That was as far as being weird. Like, I was like, oh, you guys, I'm going to report you to somebody. So at the end of the day, I don't think there are events in the wheel. I think people just have passion for film and they just shitty at borrowing tropes.
Yeah.
Because we do it, we see it a lot. You're watching it, you see that they borrow 10,000 of that tropes from somewhere. You've seen it later. I don't mind homage. I like people paying homage to the films. I want to be able to say, I recognize that scene. Oh yeah, I recognize that scene. I've seen that before. I recognize this writing. I don't want you to jack the entire plot and then you will not do it badly. Get out. Don't try it.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's happening right now.
Okay, let's talk about film as moral compass of society. There are a lot of films that tend to be preachy, and then and then there are also the films that under the layer it points towards something.
And they change scenes. Let me tell you, the films are powerful. So I think it was on the timeline, one of those filmmakers said, films don't change lives. Films don't change lives, that's not true. Films influence, whether we like it or not. Pop culture, slangs, things. Pop culture especially. Tunde Kanani released Oleku in 1996, 7, whatever. I can't remember that time. But Oleku, people were wearing it. I don't know if you know what they call Oleku for the women. Shorts, buba, and the hero is only shorts.
Yeah.
At some point in the early 2000s, late 90s, people were wearing it. It was a fashion fad. And it was after he produced that movie, Oleku. And people called that dress. It wasn't called Oleku. People were wearing it in the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
But nobody called it Oleku then. But they would release Oleku as a film. And people started watching, wearing that clothes and calling it that same style.
Yeah.
See that serious. When I was in 200 level, we were watching Gossip Girl, and in my hostel, everybody started wearing 8 bands. I had at least 5 bands, and it was from Serena van der Woodsen and Blair Waldorf, right? They were carrying big bags.
Yeah.
All of us were carrying big bags. They were wearing high-waist skirts. We were all wearing nice. That was the time everybody wear. People started wearing 3-piece suits to the club. People were wearing jeans, shirts, suits to the club. Again, films, and this is pop culture. Then let's talk about how films have greatly changed the way we see things. In Hollywood, when they're doing mixed race, people falling in love, or they were setting up some form of acceptance.
Yeah.
It's always happened. Let me say in Hollywood, Yoruba films. I don't even know, but they were harmful. The messaging is always there. Somebody can be raped, at the end of the day, the rapist will end up with the person that they raped. But that was the message. And it was not just them. For those of us that were younger in the early 2000s, late 90s, and if you read Hint magazine, and they used to write all these romance things there, and used to follow that same pattern. There were some news and bones that followed that same pattern. The people were not calling it out, but it was also a lot of people's realities, because you see a lot of girls in public university saying that that's how they meet their boyfriends or whatever. Again, it's twisted. But when art forms normalizes something, the rest of the society will normalize it. We've seen it happen.
Even with music.
I'm seeing it with music. Arts do form things. But like I said, whether we like it or not, there is a form of acceptance that will collectively keep seeing it in films. There are some things that you probably have an ick to, but if you see so many times in films, you'll be fine with it. And that is how art actually does influence things. It's not like influence in the sense that you will go home and start doing it. Maybe some people do that. Personally, film has never influenced me in that manner where maybe somebody did something in film and I will go do that. If it's not pop culture like dressing, why should I fashion my life after a character because I see myself in them or something? I probably won't do that. But what it would do for me is properly accept things. And people like to say that films are political now, but almost all the films that I've watched that were late 90s to early 90s were heavily political. Heavily. I don't know if it was Finch that was talking about it recently or Mona. I was talking about it about how films from the 80s, 70s, there were always some form of social things coming out, and so a lot of films were following in that footstep. Time to Kill, I can't remember if it's Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey and Samuel Jackson, where some people raped his daughter and shot at them and killed them, and it became a race war or whatever.
Right.
There were films like this back then. They were important for it to be shown in Hollywood for people to watch and then judge for yourself. The film wasn't doing a lot of preaching either. Again, that is what I don't like in Nigerian films, and it's because it is an overboard from theater. But I'm wondering, how many of these new guys were on stage or were writing plays that they're still doing that, right? We, rather than putting it in art in a way where it's subtle, and it's because I don't think we know how to do subtle. I don't think Hollywood knows how to do subtle. I think Hollywood is very on the nose. But when I'm watching like British shows, those guys are going to pass that message. You will not even know until they receive that message.
Yeah.
The way they will subtle, how subtle it's going to be. They're not going to come out and where even Hollywood characters will be more on the nose. They are going to do it like it's normal way of life. You're not even going to catch it until you're done watching it. But ours, we interpret it as didactic speeches. Somebody's making long and lengthy preaching in every scene. Like I will box you. I'll be battle on Booker Street. Oh my god, battle on Booker Street. I have had it up to here. Anybody that did not know that film was about rivalry will not know. And it's so sad that they did not now flesh out the rivalry. Because at every turn in that film, somebody had another rivalry going on. There was the mothers, the children, the grandchildren, and that boy and somebody else at his work set him up. There was even a character that was on the side that said, yes, I had the biggest one, my rival burnt it. It was in a way where, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why don't you take those people that have rivalry? Why don't you juxtapose side by side? Because we've already seen the mothers and then the daughters, their own rivalry. Now you have a chance to juxtapose these children. Well, these people are trying to force the rivalry for these children, but these children are determined to walk their own path. The markers were there on how they intended to do that, because that girl was under that brother, her cousin. But it could have been tighter in such a way that by the time they now interweave that other subplot that was on ID unnecessary, the resolution would be the final, the sisters eventually dropping their weapon, their fight, whatever. We didn't see that in that way. That's the problem with story writing, because we keep going for fan service, for shock value, and you derail the entire where you're coming from. When your central overarching plot was rivalry, and you ended it in Prison Break. And then you sprinkle I'm gonna help my sister with a little bit of more slapstick on it. I thought that scene at the end was interesting, but it felt like it was from another movie entirely. So at the crux of it is, all movies, personally, I believe, again, you don't owe anyone. But all movies are political. I like it where I read there's some arguments I like on the timeline where people go, "Oh, you're making our heroes woke." What do you mean? Comics, at the crux of comics, is a soapbox. The original comic writers were telling a lot of socioeconomic problems. They were talking about races with X-Men. Go and read how X-Men started. They're talking about races. They're just representing it in mutants. So the idea is people who are different from us, how do we treat them? It was at the heart of racism, people looking for race supremacy. These were the messages that people were passing with art back then. Almost every story. At the end of the day, it's the way people write literature, and there are academic theses on it. People are trying to interpret Tolstoy, interpret C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
What did the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe? What does it signify? How can we interpolate it to our life? What are the themes? And similarly, art, movie being another form of art, these are the things that it suggests. And I don't know, we owe it to ourselves. And that's why at some point my silent protest was to stop watching Yoruba films because they were doing rubbish.
Yeah.
The message was wrong. But sometimes now people say, I don't want this Yoruba film, they're changing messages, they're changing, people are telling other stories, they're telling the other side of that stuff. Like, interesting, maybe this one starts. Again, films, you go on YouTube now and somebody makes a film about, a house husband, and then go and read comments. People are relating to films on personal levels. They're like, oh, this thing happened to me in my house. And I think this is where the Nollywood kind of storytelling comes in. Right? Somebody has said that maybe Nollywood should be a genre, which I don't mind. So sort of in a way where Bollywood has its own markers, because I think that there are some Nigerian stories who have our own markers, right? And I do agree, because Nigerian stories sometimes serve as some form of, apart from entertainment, relatability for the rest of Africa. People like, oh, I'm telling you from Ghana, I'm watching from Kenya, oh my god, this happened to my neighbor. I think filmmakers, people who put their films on YouTube, this response is sort of like, probably keep them going. People are appreciating this thing you're putting in because they relate to it, they relate with it. Apparently, I heard that Wale Adenuga Productions with the Super Story was popular in lots of African countries. The way they were watching it 9 p.m., they too were watching it 8 p.m. rather, they too were watching it in their countries back then. The same stories as we're watching it. They can sing, this is a super story from beginning to the end. And if you look at it, all these stories back then, they have similar structures. There is, your first act, the second act, and the third, the inciting, the inciting, everything is there. The structure is there. And which is another thing that I appreciate with the old writers. You can't watch their stories now and think that maybe they did something. You can't be like, oh yes, what is the whole in it? And a lot of the time I really want to ask Kenneth Nebo if he had any professional education, like where he learns to write in this way.
Yeah.
Like have you watched was it Blood Money Rituals, the one with Zapoji?
Yeah.
I think you should, maybe it's Blood Money, I should look for it. You need to watch it, and I'm serious, if I say you can watch it. The way it was written, the structure, the dialogue, and everything is fantastic, and you're wondering, was this in 1996? Right? So sometimes I want to ask, this romance that I really like, Mortal Inheritance, with Montana and Fredo Mata. That one was talking about sickle cell, but not in a PSA way. It wasn't exactly preachy. It was romance, so you know this is romance. And not just that, it was talking about intertribal marriage. This must have been a very important move for 1994, right? When there wasn't it's not now when you enter Belen Nigeria that another Yoruba boy is marrying another Igbo girl. Yeah. It wasn't exactly like that back then. So you can imagine how important that movie was for that time. It wasn't just addressing intertribal marriage. It was also talking about sickle cell anemia. Yeah. There were times that it was dropped, but at no point was there a lengthy. Again, we don't know how to do PSA again. There was no lengthy didactic speech going on. Yeah. Tule Kelani's that one with Lala and Tule Afolayan. It's also about romance and sickle cell. But the difference is that was PSA. I think Society for whatever paid for that one. Yeah. So you can see a difference because same thing romance, but you see where the sickle cell took more of a high attention and then the romance was here. But with Mortal Inheritance, it was romance. But our characters, one big conflict was that she was sickle cell. another larger conflict. She was like, she was a Yoruba girl, he was an Igbo boy. So we already have our conflict. That's how we started. So the meet cute happened in like scene 1. This is how you want to do a 90-minute movie. Nobody, because every time when you say, these motivations, you see filmmakers come on time like, yeah, those old movies had part 1, part 2, part 3. There's no time for us to say backstory. Sometimes the problem is not the backstory.
Yeah.
The problem is you just don't know how to actually tell that story. Sometimes all you need is a scene to fix the entire problem that you're going to have in the rest of the story, whatever conflict you're going to meet. So at the end of the day, I think, like I said, movies also serve as our moral compass. However you want that compass to go, bless you. But you have a duty to the audience to say it's right. I don't know how to put it. Like people watch Sister. Sister is the story is fantastic. I also think it was didactic. I thought it was talking too much. It was telling you the plots and lots. People get, but it's real life. But if your protagonist does not get justice in a film, where should they get justice? I don't even get my point, right? So many films are aspirational. We need to also remember that. There are a lot of things that it's in the movie that the right thing is happening. You know that in real life it's never going to happen that way.
Because people don't go to movies to be depressed.
Nobody goes to the movie to be depressed. But at the same time, when you are aspirational in a movie, it also serves as some form of moral compass that the audience starts to support that in a way where if it can influence a change, there's an outcome to be had in real life, people would move towards the direction that the movie ended in. I don't even get my point. Even though you say, these things don't happen in real life, it's reality. But in film, if our protagonists just got what they should get, it starts affecting, where people start seeing this in that manner in the audience, this is the right thing. People just keep talking. So if you and I have a conversation about that, you were able to recognize this should be the right thing, and maybe people start working towards that. So that's it. Filmmakers have a duty to their audience and themselves to represent the right thing.
You talked about investing in film. Was it like a short film, feature?
Well, for now, just short films. And I did one feature once, but that was a long time ago, 2020.
Okay.
And again, I think I'm leaning more toward the EP side because I don't know. I have a day job. I don't know. I don't think film is something that I'm this passionate about. Let me just tell you something. My life is. Who knows, in the next 2 days I'll have a new interest, right? Yeah. And this will just be one time in my life I used to talk about films. One time in my life I used to talk a lot about books. Like I said, I used to review books. I would just be talking about books. Another time it was just music. I used to talk a lot about music, right? So for now, the EP route seems more realistic for me. In the sense that I don't have to be there doing all the hard work.
Yeah.
I'm just going to reach them okay, this is the sort of story that I think I should invest in. Maybe I can come up and say, please, you let the story be better before they will roast me on the timeline because some talk about the story all the time, things like that. I think to a large extent I can involve myself in story direction, story consultation, supervisory role. And just let the director or producer do their own thing. Because I already have a good job.
Yeah. I mean, so more developed film industries, the government plays a role in the sense that there's public funding for films. Definitely. And just the general direction in terms of policy that enables industries grow. Government is always involved. Here in Nigeria, we're still struggling for dividends of democracy. But then, just like our music that is being exported and accepted around the world,
yes,
there's a growing interest in films.
Yes.
if the government was to start focusing on policies that will push this industry and allow it to blossom, where do you think they should start from?
So I think one of the things that I'd like to talk about is the Korean film industry, because I've read how their government really puts in tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of funds, not just in the Korean film industry and also in their sound. Now they're exporting so many things. They're exporting their drama, they're exporting their films, they're exporting their music. K-pop is ridiculously popular in Asia and even in America now. We have a lot of young people saying they listen to K-pop. I don't know what that. I'm not even sure I've heard the sound of it, but the point is it's really popular.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, what exactly are they doing right? I think it was during Jonathan's administration where Bank of Industry had some funds, and I think a couple of people, not a couple, I know that I'm not so sure about Mildred, but Mildred has talked about how she was enjoying some form of government support.
Yeah.
I think she wanted to show dignity to government, and they didn't mind. Somebody else was like, why were you talking about a minister where somebody so powerful touch somebody from, say, the minister? But I think that is where government should come in. We've had governments reforms, government gives, government takes. We've talked about how military era was the one that ruined cinema for us. But we need a serious government. We need one who is very interested. It's going to take a lot of money and investments.
Yeah.
And I think it should start from cinemas. We need, and I'm not talking about this because I think the problem is forcing people to buy your popcorn and say, oh yeah, you have option of not eating popcorn, but you cannot take your popcorn in there. So if you have like smaller cinemas that run the way cinema that I grew up with in Akure works, and it becomes a way of life. The cinemas shouldn't be a luxury. The cinemas now is luxury. It's a sort of place where you say, oh, I want to take a babe out and you're taking somebody to cinemas because you're not going to spend 12,000 naira.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't be like that. Cinemas should be, I'm off work. Let me go see if they are showing any of the old movies at the cinemas. I should be able to walk into the cinema and watch a movie from 1994 and walk out. Or should someone say, oh, I'm going to do all of Chico Ejiro's old films, running through. You want to watch, come in, is 500 naira. And you have people just, So, like, then when I grew up, the cultural center was not just, like I said, it was called cultural center. So it wasn't just the cinema. So many things were happening there. Watching stage plays. My school always have, like, when I was in secondary school, we used to have, like, some art, whatever, exhibition going on at the cultural center. So a lot of people use the cultural center. So it was like a community center. So if you have government thinking in that direction where you can have a form of community center that young people go to their sports, table tennis, whatever, people just meeting around there. And then there is the cinema, the cheap ones will not film more, kind of come and pay 4,000 naira for a film or 6,000 naira for a film. And you can go watch 500 naira film. Then give them an option of, I don't know, nobody has DVD again, but there was an option of taking home some form of keepsake. I think that's the direction that the government should be looking at. Cinemas first. Not putting in money, not saying take $1 million, go make a film. Don't make a film. I'm sure you get streamers money, but put avenue for people to make money back so that people can take their films to the cinemas before it ends up on YouTube. Yeah.
And I mean, with the entry of streamers, the system presented these gatekeepers that have. They're doing a good job at gatekeeping.
Yes.
How can we avoid that with a government that is receptive of the industry and wants to fund it?
And that's why I said that it's not going to be run by the government. I don't think government should be running things either.
But even the industry can gatekeep.
Definitely, there will always be gatekeepers, right? There will always be gatekeepers, and that's why distribution matters. Distribution is where I honestly believe that distribution is that part where nobody has really cracked. Let me say nobody because I can look up on timeline and they will say that I've said something and I know nothing. But I really think that distribution is the elephant in the room. And there has to be some form of. I'm thinking about how it worked because when I was younger, there was nobody keeping anything.
Yeah.
We were excited for Adelo's film to come and be shown. You're stepping in and you're like, in Yoruba, they are showing so. They're showing this again, let's go and watch it. Sometimes they're even showing old films and we'll still go and watch it. Because I'm sure they've shot Ijomira a long time before I was born. But I remember watching it at the cinemas then. Right? So there wasn't, maybe because there wasn't a lot of movies at the cinemas then. So rather than show Oyibo films, maybe more slots given to Nigerian films. And there is a schedule on the local TV. And people can decide what they want to go watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't be thinking for them now because they should come and pay for my brain. But at the same time, this is how I think. I really think if distribution can be fixed, everybody will be fine. In fact, if there are more of that, I just thought about it, if there are more community centers, then all those fancy cinemas will just be that for people who are too elitist to go in.
And it could be like proper competition.
It could be a proper competition.
Things will level up.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe there will be incentive for the big boys to start playing with the local leagues. As in, last year, I watched the Yahoo Plus at the cinemas. I was shocked because a film like that would probably not have shown at the cinemas previously, because we heard when Kasala, Emma Edison said that she was told that she should take her film to festivals. I mean, it worked for her eventually. She got the money and all that. But I remember watching Kasala. I really like Kasala. Like I said, I really like stories. I like slice of life films.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of Nigerians will appreciate it. Like I said, and again, this audience education, they can't appreciate something they're not a form of art that they're not exposed to.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of slice of life. I like coming of age movies a lot, one of my favorite genres. So when I watched Mechanic, I liked the Mechanic a lot. I came on the time like people see the hit and I'm like, oh nice, coming of age, it makes sense. But people, when you're not exposed to slice of life, I get it. So you're going to call it boring. But me personally, is the kind of boring that I would have watched. I like coming of age movies. Coming of age movies are not interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that. You're hardly entertainment. They're often like a rudiment of showing a young person grow. Like Kasala, basically, in that one day that happened in 24 hours, they did a lot of growth, of course. And they got, they were beaten. But at the end of the day, you see how young people, their journey throughout 24 hours. I like that. But Yahoo Plus, I watched that cinemas last time. I was like, Yahoo Plus can come to this now. Why did Kasala not come? But then it occurred to me that even film one is going to, just trying to get just everybody to come back to the cinemas.
Yeah.
At this point, you're going to have to put in that work. Because that work that you've been avoiding because you're big money spenders, whereby your big money spenders are following the money now, and the streamers are the new big boys. And maybe who knows, after the streamers will have another bigger boy.
Yeah.
We just don't know where it will end.
But it seems like what has been constant for a lot of industries is cinema.
Cinema, yes.
So it will be wise of us not to lose this momentum.
You need to. Cinema is a way of life. It's not luxury, it's not fancy, it's not complimentary popcorns. It should be coppers. You don't have money, come and pay 1K, 1.5. You're a student, come and pay 200. Coming with children, the money is reduced. I think my husband took my son to go watch Puss in Boots. It's not like 3Q. I remember asking him how much he paid and he told me that I think like regular money. And when I saw my nephew, I said, so these are the things. Person was showing at the cinemas, and it did not occur to you did not occur to you that maybe reducing for children? I don't know, man. I can't teach them their job. And I remembered one of the cinema operators, I don't know if he is or he works in one, and he kept on saying that nobody have to make their money. Do I know how much sugar is? Who asked you for popcorn? Why don't you try it one day? And this, he said, oh yeah, because we make our money from there. And you're telling me a 300% increment. I say, yeah, but diesel went up. I'm like, these things are ridiculous. And I think that is why we as a society, Nigeria, have not moved forward. And that's why we keep getting poorer and poorer and poorer. Because the foresight is not there. You cannot have 24% in 24% and what's it called? 24% inflation rate. And they're increasing things by 300%. It's supposed to arrest you on the spot. And that's because they need to post the numbers that we were posting in 2020, 2021. Not post similar numbers in 2023. But you don't think you should look at the admission rates, at the admission amount. I mean, good luck to everybody. Just wants neighborhood to invest in proper storytelling. And honestly, I think I'm getting to that stage where I might just wake up and decide that I want to stop watching Nigerian films. Fine. I don't think I'm cutting there, but I think I'm going to my 2007 phase where I did not watch, where I wasn't going to watch anything. Last year, I remember saying I'm going to watch only the good stuff. I remember saying that to myself. I put it on the timeline, I'm going to watch only the good stuff. Last January, I didn't watch E17 because I take reviews seriously. There was a time in my life I used to read, I would read reviews. I read reviews of films, reviews of books, reviews of churches, reviews of music. As long as you're reviewing something, I'm going to read it. And I do trust reviews because if I read through it and they say, don't watch it, Daddy, I do not watch it.
Yeah.
I watched it Daddy when I liked it. The structure again was tricky, but I thought it was funny. It was slapstick enough for me to along with it. I thought Faust's character was ridiculous. And I got in a few laughs here and there.
Yeah.
But I did not watch the two. When people say don't watch it. I've not watched Wedding Party 2 till date. I have not watched it. I don't know what happened with that film. I did not watch it. It was a personal principle. So I used to have that principle for Nollywood Film Club. I will look at the synopsis, I'll watch a trailer, and I'll decide. But if a review comes out and go, I've not watched any Tonya Imako produced film since the Alakadashi when I was in final year. I watched that one. And it came out just after Jennifer. I laughed. Similar this thing, but that was it for me. And I think she had one of them. I think it was Nana. Because I can remember people were saying, oh, it was similar to one other film, so I didn't watch it. Yeah, it was similar to one Yoruba film. That one was interesting. I watched it. So I think it was Diamsa, where they killed their only child. Husband and wife was fighting mistakenly during their physical altercation. Their child died. But anyways, I remember watching that one. And then Tonya Imako did one like that, and somebody says, oh, it's similar. I didn't watch it. And I'm like that. I won't watch it. Then she did Alakada Reloaded. I did not watch it. Because I saw the trailer, I thought it was a mess. I didn't watch it. She did Ghost and That. I didn't watch it. Ghost and That. I didn't watch it. So when she did this one, I said, well, there goes my unbeaten run of not watching a single Toyama produce. No offense to her. I think her heart is in the right place, and she's very hardworking. She works so hard. You can see it because she's in a new movie every time. It's just not working. Same with Jennifer. I didn't watch Omogeto. I watched 3 seasons now since I was out. I watched the original Omogeto 1 and 2. When I watched it, she was probably in her 30s. And I think I was like 2010, so it was final year just out of school. And I remember watching it back then. It makes sense that time. I don't want to say anybody in their 40s running around that beautiful. So when I watched it just could not register in my head. That you're telling me that this character did not work. I mean, people can do continuation of it. I mentally, I couldn't divorce the age of that film, of which Omogeto was similar to Bollywood's Sita Gita. Like I think it was a 70s film. But when I was younger, when I was in the first Omogeto, I didn't mind it. I don't think I want to watch it again, so I didn't watch it. Which one did I not watch? That's one book I watched it because of Lonely Film Club. On a normal day, I would have been out by like the third scene and I would have checked out. I decided to finish watching it. So here is the thing, right? They will always have their markets because they're big spenders and they always show their movies in December. When people have a lot of, not a lot, but they have enough disposable income to go to the cinema because it's the holidays. So people who have not been to the cinemas in the entire year, they will go. And then it's also, which should we choose? There might be a couple of Hollywood, but you know, it's Funke. Funke is funny, let's go watch her, right? How that is going to be sustained, I don't know. Before Funke, there was so many Oboli at the cinemas as you want to make money, you have to put some money in your film.
Yeah.
And then we have Funke and then we have Tony, but how long are we going to have them for? That's the question that is supposed to be. I really hoped Funke won so that she would not feel to anything again. I would have been so happy. And see, December she's going to travel down. So congratulations to everybody involved. I wish her luck. She's also hardworking, so I can see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I would have asked you what the industry should improve, but we have talked about different things across.
So many things, yes.
Yeah. So where can people go to keep up with your takes on Nollywood?
My MS_Ojo. Not all the time, when I'm talking, which is really funny because half of the time I'm trying not to talk so much on the timeline and at the same time. So sometimes I don't talk a lot about films again because I keep my opinion for Nolly Film Club. So if you want to hear what I have to say, you have to come. Mr. C is not paying me for this thing. So maybe I should add that, like, you know, writing something to collect my royalties from him in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the times I usually put my opinion on the timeline. But that's it. If Elon breaks Twitter, that's it for us, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Mo, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much, Stella. So I was going to ask you, what should we be expecting from you?
From me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a feature film.
Okay.
The plan is to release it sometime in September, end of September.
Why end of September?
That's between
You and the distributor.
Yeah, me and the distributor decided we'll go for that period.
Is there peak that period? Do people go to the cinemas that period?
I think it's a host of different things, but for us, there's like a few number of days that might be public holiday.
In September, right?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. The plan is to make money with that.
Yes.
And then do more stuff.
So, what are you thinking about marketing? How do you intend to market this film?
Basically, like we have a worst case scenario with what we have to come up with to give the movie a fighting chance. But I think for us, it's our first film. We're trying to learn a lot about the market. So we're doing stuff. We're not just looking at the money we're spending. We're doing stuff so that we have the experience to do it better. For me, like I'm kind of a textbook person, so textbook and experience. So, for example, taking lessons from Hollywood, how have they done stuff, how have they pushed films, you know. So that informs my approach, and then you took it for the Nigerian market.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Congratulations and good luck, Sele.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Thank you. We have come to the end of this episode. Remember to rate and review the podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Selegov Film, and the podcast at the Naija Film Pod to share your feedback. You can now support the podcast by visiting the website to donate. See you on the next episode. Have a good one.